Hello and welcome to the fifth episode of the Metabreakers podcast. It is your favorite squad of streamers here. DmoneyGames, we got DracoCatt over there, and we got, of course, Warshack himself. Good morning to all you beta testers for Hearthstone. If you've been
Brand new game.
keeping up. Excited to get going here. How you guys feeling today?
I feel great. I'm wide awake. I've been awake for a few hours. I know what day it is, and Hearthstone feels okay. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I was pulling up chat on my other monitor. It's good. It's good. I mean, it's Sunday afternoonish. Woke up early because the new schedule with the new house. Very strict here. Can't stay up too late and stream anymore. So that means I have to get up early. Yeah, it's been chill. It's been good. Happy.
So, what is your new schedule, Rob? In your new home,
Yeah. So most of the time, I would stream around 6 or 7 p.m. Eastern, and then I would get off around 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And then now, because obviously I have 3 roommates and they all wake up in the morning and sleep because they do 9 to 5s or 7 to 4s. I go to bed. Now I'm in bed by 12, sleeping by 12, and I do 12 to 4. And then they get home around 4:30. So I help make dinner and we eat. And then I'm back on at 6 to 10 for 2 4-hour blocks. And then I get off around 10 or 11.
So. That's a nice little schedule there. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, honestly, it's helped. I see a ton of people, newer people and recurring people that are Rob, I literally just couldn't make your other schedule. The times didn't work. I couldn't watch you. But now with your new schedule, I can watch you. But I'm sure the people that watch me in late night are like, what the fuck just happened to this man? He's gone.
Yeah, that's a big change, but
yeah,
probably for the better. Yeah, that sounds like a really nice schedule. Sounds like you got a nice little family there, just making dinner together and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's been cool. I mean, it's been a little weird not being, home anymore. But I mean,
yeah,
everything's been, there's no big complaints. Yeah.
All right. So what? You go.
I was gonna say, anything new, you guys, before we get started with the meta? Is I feel like I've been talking, that's a lot about me. Anything new going on with you guys? Anything worthy? I don't know.
Well, my fiance and I discovered on Friday that do you guys know what cideries are? Have you ever heard
of
that
cidery? Like a brewery?
Yeah, it's like a brewery, but they make cider. We have this one near our house. Because we have this area in Pittsburgh called Arsenal. It sounds really badass, but they have this place called Arsenal Cider House, and their ciders are 10% and stuff. So they taste like apple juice, but it hits like a truck. And we found out that they do curbside delivery in the COVID-19 era. So we ordered over $100 worth of cider the other day. They all came to our car and gave us all these glass bottles of fermented raspberry cider and stuff, and it's been
really good.
Yes,
hell yeah, dude! This sounds awesome. Oh my
cider's
god,
really good.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine.
It's been a good weekend.
No, nice.
Did you have any this morning, or what's up?
Just on Friday. I might crack open some of the some after the podcast. But
hell yeah. Yo, D-Money, how's the computer? Another last off-topic thing.
Yeah, I mean, I reached the donation goal for my new computer, so in the process of getting a new computer in the next couple of days. Very exciting. That's about the most exciting thing going on with me right now. Just streaming a ton.
You have a contest about it, right?
Yeah, I do. Contest.
Yeah, I have a PC building contest that ends tomorrow, actually. I've gotten maybe 7 or so submissions, so your odds are not too bad if you want to enter it. Hey. But yeah, I'm excited to see what we come up with, and then I'm going to be building it on stream, and I've never built a PC before, so I have no idea what I'm doing.
That'll be so crazy.
And yeah, I did just hit my sub goal also for the month, so I have to shave my head, and my dad's actually going to shave my head on my stream.
That's content. That's content.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the most exciting stuff going on with me, but I'm really stoked to see it all play out,
Yeah. All right,
yeah,
so meta time. This is what we're looking at, boys. This is what we got going on. You know who's on top.
it's a little bit different than last week. There's 3 numbers. There's 3 classes in green now instead of just 2. So it's a big deal.
I barely noticed a change at all. I know we talked about Warrior. I know I was trying to tell you that Warrior was like an up and coming thing, but I don't know why it's still at the bottom. I've seen so many.
It's still looking pretty rough.
I play against Warrior like 1 out of 3 games. So
really,
like a lot of people are playing that Egg Warrior that No Hands Gamer has been pushing.
Egg row.
yeah,
like-
yeah. They were speaking very highly of that in the tournament that's been going on. Like,
I don't
Yeah,
think it's
and
been
there's
doing that good in
also-
the tournament.
Really?
like, overall, it actually has like a pretty bad win rate in general, but everyone brought it, which is the interesting thing. Is like a whole bunch of people brought the deck, but it's not actually like reaping great results in the Grandmaster tournament. But
That's interesting.
do you think it's
Um,
because it's a hard deck to play?
I think, yeah, that's a variable. I also think it has to deal with the fact that its matchups, it only kind of lines up pretty positive against like Demon Hunter. It seems like people, well, I don't you don't really see many games where the Warrior beats like the Warlock, or the Warrior beats like the Priest. Usually it goes in the other deck's direction. So, and they have to, in the format they play, they have to beat every deck. They have to win a game with each deck. So once they throw the Warrior in their lineup, if it doesn't queue into like the other Demon Hunters, they have to like basically ride through the Priests and the Warlocks until they get to it. It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe it's just because of the format in the tournament. There are 4 decks instead of the 3 decks and like the normal qualifiers. So I'm not sure about that. But I've also been seeing like Control Warrior be a thing, to maybe pick off like mages or priests, or more like control matchups, or even like to control the Demon Hunter even more. But I don't know, it hasn't seemed that good. So maybe that's why it's so low. I mean, maybe like you were saying, the Egg Warrior is more of like a higher skill cap on there. So maybe people at the lower ranks are trying to make it work, but it's not working. But it looks like in High Legend that it's performing very well, especially against the Demon Hunter. So still surprising for me to see it down low, but I guess I understand it.
Rogue's been getting figured out. That's definitely what the big takeaway on this chart is. I mean, it has a 50% win rate, which is good in this meta.
Yeah.
There's
I mean,
actually
that's the
quite a
Galakron
few
rogue, right?
different-
Sorry.
There's quite a few different rogues that people are playing. I know there's a secret Galakron rogue, there's a stealth Galakron rogue, and then there's this regular Galakron rogue. I'm pretty sure that are all doing pretty well.
Hmm.
So
I think the stealth one's probably the best performer because
Mhm.
since you have so much extra draw on it, you can cut the Devoted Maniacs, which are like the weakest card in Galakron rogue decks, because you're going to get all of your other invokes generally before you want to pop off. So you can get rid of the weak cards and add some of those secrets, and that seems. I think that's probably the best rogue build. I don't know if you guys have experience playing it too, but
I've seen it be successful. I haven't played it or really played against it, but I know it does have a lot of draw with the 3/3, the 3-mana 3/3 that draws 2 if you have a stealth minion. It has a really nice way to just cycle through the cards, and I could see it being very good. It just seems pretty boring to me. Still like just like regular Galakron kind of thing, with just like some new stealth cards, whatever. But
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is it's
yeah,
the way the rogue wins is still the same way the rogue wins, and that's tempo. You play as Galakron, you get a bunch of 0 mana cards, you get the weapon, you kill your opponent in like 2 turns. How you get there changed a little bit, right? Instead of drawing not as much, now you just draw more and have slightly better cards, but you're still winning because of the Galakron package and the lackeys and the infinite value. I mean, that just hasn't changed. That's what the core of the deck is, right?
right.
yeah, that's why I kind of like the secret version better. But
Mm-hmm. Add some
haven't really
huzzah.
been seeing it too much. But I've heard it's doing okay. So.
I find Druid being not positive as being somewhat surprising, to be frank, guys. I feel like Druid's in a pretty powerful spot. I mean, it is getting nerfed this week. Well, it's one of its cards are, but in the combo
I
that it
think
does.
that's another thing that goes back to like the skill cap or skill gap. I don't know. I think it does seem easy to play Spell Druid, but I think you actually have to plan out your turns pretty accordingly and not use all your resources and hold until your opponent plays a certain card first or certain removal. Because you want to be trying to like set up lethal with like Savage Roar as much as you can, but you don't want to overextend and then just lose the game.
Yeah.
So you think
Well,
it's
a
the
lot of
skill cap that makes it hard, that makes it lower looking than we would expect?
Yeah, I think it's very similar to like Warrior. I think it's still very strong,
Mhm.
but
Well, the thing with Druid is a lot of people were asking me, how do you play the deck, right? Is it a token deck? Is it an aggro deck? Is it a control deck? And I think it's a combo deck, right? Like you
Yeah.
win through using this large array of cards over the course of 1 to 2 turns after playing very frugally in the early game, not extending too much, not using too little. So, and generally combo decks are some of the harder decks to play because if you play a card and you need it next turn or you misplayed and now you don't have the right amount of stuff to do your Sunstrider combo, you're kind of out of luck, right? So I think that it's a fairly difficult deck to navigate like correctly, especially against Demon Hunter, which can easily punish if you don't do what you need to do in the early game. It just blows you out. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like it is a combo deck if the pilot plans on using Kael'thas as the win condition, but then if they like lose the Kael'thas or discard it and they end up using the exotic mount seller, it turns into more of like, I guess, like a token win con, I would say at that point, because then you just like try to spread out wide, taunt up a big thing, hope it sticks to Savage Roar the next turn, which is kind of like the classic token gameplay. But most of the time, that's kind of their secondary win condition, right? Like they
Mm-hmm.
go for the Kael'thas and to the crazy overflows and to
Mm-hmm.
dumping their hand. So it's
yeah,
kind
I
of
think
both,
it does have
right?
I think it does have some weaker matchups now that we see. So you said I haven't played Demon Hunter at all or Druid, but so we're assuming that Demon Hunter is good against Druid. I don't know. I haven't played it too much. Yeah.
The combo Demon Hunter is not as great. It's pretty even against Druid, and the
Yeah.
aggressive Demon Hunter often beats it. Yeah, because generally, if you just kind of build up the board before they can react to it early in the game, you kind of run away with it. So
Yeah, so you got the Demon Hunter, then you have Warlock, which is probably the Gala Warlock, which should be good against that because they have so many ways to clear the board.
Yeah.
And then Priest, there's a lot of Priests being played right now. Whether it's I've been playing the Galakron control Priest that No Hands Gamer put out. Um, I know there's a lot of Res Priest around, which is probably still very good against the Druid because they have so many ways to clear the board. And then there's also Mage, Reno Mage, which I've been doing quite well against Spell Druid. It's very hard for them to beat me with it unless I somehow dodge all my AoE and they maybe get off like the combo on like turn 6. But yeah, I think there's a lot to counter it right now, so maybe that's why it's a little lower. But I think it's still very strong, especially in like tournaments and everything where you could ban around the counter matchups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is all, subject to change as well, right? Pretty soon. We'll
Oh, yeah.
hopefully see some of these numbers get flopped around a little bit. Some positions be moved from, bottom to top, top to bottom.
It's
What do you
definitely
mean
going to
subject
change.
to change? What do you mean? Is there something coming? What?
I think that is a good segment into our next part, where we got some balance changes here. Quite a few cards are getting hit, and then hopefully because of this, we'll see another meta shift, and some of these numbers tighten up a little bit. We might see the 55% win rates go, hover around the 51, 52s, and some of that 44s go up to 48s and 49s.
Yeah, we didn't find graphics for all the cards, so they don't have like an official publishing of it. So sorry about that, guys. But just to cover one thing we usually remember to cover is that if you guys have any questions, we'll answer those all at the end of the stream, and we kind of pick them out as we're going. But yeah, Kael'thas, that's the first one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
6 to 7. But they keep its exact effect.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't. This is a very light approach to a Kael'thas nerf. I mean, it really seems like it's only going to impact some very meticulous circumstances. But I don't know if I like that. I feel like I was hoping they were going to change the effect. What about you guys?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I think a lot of people were hoping for that as well, including myself. But you never know. I mean, I have a theory that Hearthstone doesn't even play test their cards with like actual people, but maybe they tested this and it seemed to fix some of the issues that we were having with like combo Demon Hunter and everything. One mana doesn't seem like a lot, but it can impact a lot, just like we saw Imprisoned and Tane from Demon Hunter increased by 1 mana, and now it's like not even played at all. So maybe this will impact the meta. Maybe that one extra turn is very vital.
It seems like it impacts Demon Hunter more than Druid, for sure, because their cards all cost 0 after 7. So Kael'thas costing 7 just means.
I mean, Demon Hunter cards kind of cost 0 after turn 7 too, because they just skull anyway. But I don't know. I've definitely lost to OTK Demon Hunter on turn 7, on turn 6. So I mean, delaying it by 1 turn, I'm not sure if it's really going to help. But
I think it'll definitely impact the flexibility of the Demon Hunter OTK, because a lot of times you're relying on using cards that actually do cost mana to get to the next 0 cost card. Sometimes you can have to go to the combo blind where you take the skull for 0, and then you draw the cards off the skull, and then you hope that you get stuff that you can play. And sometimes I don't know. A lot of times that would affect it, because I would be using like the 1 mana like silence a card with like a 2 mana chaos strike, and now it costing 7 means that if you have 2 mana spells you need to use, it's not going to be possible at 10. So you can't double chaos strike into an inner demon now, which is, I don't know. I think that can make a big difference, I feel, with winning games and them not ending with a win, right? Like, you're not going to get there all the time now. Slightly different. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it affects the Demon Hunter considerably more than the Druid. But is that the real problem, though?
Because Druid is always going to be using Overgrowth anyway, so they're going to have enough mana to play all this shit anyway. So I think we'll have to see. I could totally see it getting another nerf in the future. I know Hunter Race had tweeted out that he could definitely foresee another set of nerfs coming out a week after, and I could see it too, because I think a lot of these nerfs were like pretty, honestly.
Wow.
They didn't seem like they were planning on that. I think in their original tweet they said that they were going to be coming out with more patches to try to balance everything. So they didn't say one single patch was going to do it. They said multiple patches could be the solution. So I don't know if this will be the only thing. I mean, we have to play test it. We're the beta testers, as I said before. So
yeah,
they did add that they would be slowing down with the updates in this post right here, where they said expect us to slow down a little bit on the updates, which I translated into don't expect a nerf in the following week. It seemed like, I don't know. I hope you're right, though. I hope you're right, D-Money. But
I mean, it could be fixed with this. You never know.
Optimism.
I mean, if anything, maybe if they're not going to change the effect, maybe it'll just go to 8 mana or something. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would love like balance changes like almost every month. Buff cards that don't see any play, nerf cards that see too much play. Keep the meta healthy, man. Like seeing having half your collection not being used because it's just like shy of just being good. It's like, just give it an extra little health or an extra little attack and see if the cool cards that you guys came up with and when they're creating these cards can, see some play. But for Sunstrider, the whole ability staying the same, it's going to affect Demon Hunter a little. I don't think too much. And then for Druid, again, it doesn't matter. Druid's shit. They get to 10 mana before everybody else. Like, it doesn't really matter for them.
They're on 10 mana.
Yeah, and so we thought the original nerf would have been keep him at 6 and just change it so his ability can only trigger once per turn. I'm pretty sure almost every player, that's what they wanted to see. That was not hidden. That's what everybody was reflecting when they tweeted about it. Pro players were saying that was a good fix. It was decent, still would be playable, but not broken. And we got the mana thing. So
do you remember last week where we were talking about how Blizzard tends to nerf cards not by changing the actual hard coding and the effect? This is exactly that happening.
Yep.
So
you mentioned that exact point.
They're not going to change what it does. They're just going to change the mana because it's easier.
Yep.
Which is kind of unfortunate. But
I don't think it's because it's easier per se. I think it's because they want. I think it's like they don't want to be wrong, like with printing the card like that. Like they want to not have to change that effect. They just want to just be able to increase the cost because they want to be proud of what they put out there. But
so you think they're stubborn about the effects that they already printed? That's what you're suggesting.
Yeah.
Is that they're like, oh, we made this effect. It's going to be in the game. Get over
pretty
it.
much, yeah. I mean, look at Open the Way Gate. So,
Okay. Yeah. That's a good point.
I mean,
there's
for the whole easier thing. I mean, they couldn't even give us like the picture of the card and then like an old picture and then a new picture. Like they definitely, the easy factor plays into the head a lot here, I think. Like couldn't even give us pictures.
It's definitely
like,
a variable. It's probably costs a hell of a lot less money to pay your developers to, or honestly, they don't have to talk to their developers for this. In this situation, they get a graphic designer to change mana cost to a 7, and then I guess they need the developers.
Or you could just go on Paint and then just
yeah. But you would probably need like the actual like people that make the algorithms and the way the cards function within the game to go in and revisit what the actual coding of the card works as to do the I don't know. I definitely think it's a variable. It would probably cost more manpower and more time. Which
costs money. I mean, yeah, you're right. Small indie company. We need to focus on production and make sure the game opens up on mobile and tablets because it works really well on there. So we just got to make sure that's all still functioning great, and then it'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
Bad luck Albatross.
I think this is a great nerf.
We talked about it last week. You actually brought it up when you said you were talking about how it was very strong and how you could just put it into any deck. And I was like, yeah, I could see it being nerfed actually. It could probably go to either 4 mana or the stats could be a little lowered, and there we go, right there. So I mean, hey, I'm just telling you guys, you probably want to tune into this podcast every week. You might see some things happening the next week, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, they were totally right. We're like, we're just seeing into the future right here.
Shit, you did predict that, Rob. When I saw that, when I saw them mention that too, and when they originally brought it up, that was the first thing I thought was like, Warshack said that there's a problem with Albatross, and this is a card they're looking at. This is definitely connected. So,
ooh, it feels good.
It's a good nerf though. I feel like requiring it to be 4, it means that not everyone's gonna put it in their deck because there's a lot of good 4-cost cards. Like I don't think I would usually want to have a Bad Luck Albatross over like a Mana Saber on turn 4 for pretty much any deck. So you'd have to intentionally want to mess with your opponent's cards to even rationalize putting that in there as a competitive 4-drop spot, which is good because that card feels bad.
Yeah, now it actually feels like a fair card because before 3 mana 4/3 is just really good, especially in this meta. But now it being a 4 mana 4/3 with a still solid effect, I think it's still playable. But like Draco said, you probably have better options to play now. So I think this is very good.
Well, it's a true tech card now. Before you could, like I said, at 3 mana 4/3 plus an insane ability, it's not a tech, it's just an auto include. It's great. Counters half the meta, great in stats, awesome ability, even if they're not running a Highlander deck, disrupts the deck. At 4 mana, the card is now a tech. Like, right? There's better cards at 4 mana for the stat line. You're playing this card now because the ability, not just because it's broken. So I like that it's a tech now. So actually, to me, I consider it a tech card, which makes it fair.
It's got the same stat line as Maev, which we all kind of think is good for 4 because that's kind of a fair stat line for 4 mana too. So that's ridiculous. You know, like 3 mana 4/3 with just a super annoying effect on it. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's premium stats right there where it was at. So at least
Mhm.
it's 4.
Yeah, so now we might not even see Galakron Warlock playing that card anymore. It'll be, I don't know, they'll have to test it out. So, I mean, that could be good for a lot of Highlander. I mean, it's definitely good for a lot of Highlander decks that this change is happening. And I love
Who
my
is
Highlander
it bad
decks.
for? Priest?
Yeah, I mean, it's bad for Priest and for Gala Warlock, probably the two heavy hitters there.
Biggest abusers.
Yeah. Speaking of biggest abusers, let's get into some Demon Hunter cards.
Oh boy. Well, Frenzied
we got
Fellwing is a neutral
yeah.
card technically, but it's
Well-
also a Demon Hunter card. So
You might as well have a green border around it or something.
the hot take is that this doesn't matter much, but my unpopular take on this is that I'm not going to play that card in my deck anymore.
Ooh.
So I think like every card for Demon Hunter has 2 health, right? So like Priest just like exploits that a lot with like all of their with like the Holy Novas, and I don't know, everything can kill things that cost 2. And
Yeah.
having another deck slot for a free 2 health card, it's just going to get removed with everything. So I don't know. I feel like I don't think it's going to be that good. Frenzied Fellwing is good for making your board resilient to removal now. And now with this change, now it's going to die with everything.
Yeah, I think it definitely opens it up to, like you said, Priest with their AoE. It opens it up to like the Blizzard from Mage or Arcane Breath. Also Backstab from Rogue. There's so many ways to deal 2 damage that now it's actually, you can actually tolerate 2 Fellwings being dropped on the board, or kind of tolerate 2 Fellwings being dropped on the board on like turn 2 or turn 3. So I think it's still a good card. I was hoping they would nerf it to actually 2/2 or increase the mana cost by 1 or something like that. So I still think it's a good card, but yes, it is easier to remove. I'm not sure if that makes it unplayable in those kind of decks, but
I don't know if it's
I
worth
still
the
think
deck
it's-
slot in Demon Hunter. You know what I mean? Like, why would you take one of the other cards away to put something that gets removed with 2 health? That's what I feel like I wonder about. Like, is it worth the spot in your deck?
I mean, it's already taking up that spot. So I mean, unless there's something else that you really want to run there. I mean, maybe now the sack pack's gone, you could run like Priestess again if you're not running that card. It does open you up to some other demons and whatever. I still think it's a good card overall, though. I mean, it didn't get hit too much, but that 1 health, like we said, is pretty. It makes it pretty manageable. I still think it's so good for just keeping the tempo at the beginning of the game and pushing so much extra damage. Also, with like Altruist and all those cards with Outcast, just playing cards for free is just good. So I don't know.
I mean, yeah, you're playing this card for free, right? So if you're playing a card for free and your opponent's using a card that costs mana for a breath, kill it. I mean, they still spent mana to do something that you did for free. So I think the card's still okay, but like I agree with D-Money. I think they should have just made it like a 2/2, kept it at the same mana cost, or increased the mana cost by 1 or 2, and then you could play it in Evolve Shaman. And like now you have like the case for new Evolve Shaman cards where it's like, yippee, I evolve my 3 mana guy into like some 7 or 8 mana cost, dude. So
I think
don't
people
know.
are already playing it in Evolve Shaman, actually.
That's a good
Oh.
idea,
I'm not
honestly.
sure. But yeah.
okay, well,
I
cool.
mean, that could have been something they thought about.
That is
Oh.
true. They could have had that.
Let's give it more mana.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like most people that play like Demon Hunter or like I feel like it's worth it maybe in the Hunter, in the Dragon Hunter deck, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I feel
This
like
is
in
nuts.
Demon Hunter, people are probably better off removing this and putting in some like overconfident orcs or something else in the 3 mana spot just to like make your curve consistent is probably going to be more impactful, I would assume, than keeping something that dies that easy now. I
Yeah.
don't know.
We'll see.
We will see.
I don't
else
like
we
cheating
got?
cards out, so I don't really care about the card. Like playing cards that cost 0 mana because you've made some like minor like damage to your opponent to blow out the early game. I hate cards like that. Like, come on, let's play fair. Let's pay mana for cards. We've always done it. Let's always keep doing it. It's part of the card game.
Yeah, that's us control players. That's how we feel about it.
All right, Mr. Luna's Pocket Galaxy. I don't
Okay.
want to hear you
I
ever
wasn't
talk
gonna
about
say it.
mana costs.
I
I didn't
specified
want
it
to.
last week. I paid 1 mana for those cards. Okay.
I was thinking it. I was thinking about all the Luna games.
Yeah.
Money over there.
I paid my mana. You pay 1. You pay 1, sir.
You hate cheating mana, huh?
It was fair.
All right, we got Outcast, D-Money's favorite card.
I love this guy.
Yeah, Altruist the Outcast. More like Altruist the Broken. Hey, am I right? But yeah, this was another card that's just like Kael'thas, where everybody was wanting it to get changed, like the ability instead of just the mana cost. Everybody wanted it to just target minions and not your opponent's face, and then we felt like it would be pretty fair actually. But now they actually just increased the mana cost by 1, just like Kael'thas, and they actually gave it 1 extra attack. So maybe they actually buffed the card. I don't know.
They definitely didn't buff the
Yeah,
card.
I know. But
sorry, just wanted to make sure you were joking.
I mean, this guy
But-
never attacks anyway. So, like,
yeah,
the 4
no.
attack doesn't do anything. Like, he never gets to attack. If you attack with him, the game's mega over. So, like,
yeah, I don't know if this 1 mana. I mean, usually when my opponent goes off with Altruist, they are floating at least 1 mana anyway. So I don't know.
This nerf is very similar to like the Kael'thas nerf, where like the real thing you need to think about is that when you draw it off of the Skull of Gul'dan, now it costs 1 instead of 0. So the turns which you can chain it together to do something ridiculous now become noticeably more limited. Because a lot of
Yeah,
times you count up all the mana to do those turns way ahead of time before you go off with them. So this pushes it back.
that is true.
It's nice that both of them got increased mana. So like just for like combo Demon Hunter, it's not going to be as broken because usually they play both of those at once. So now one of them has to be reduced in order to play both. So that does make it a little more manageable.
It also really messes with Outcast if you draw it early on in the game. Like if you draw like a 4-drop in your left, and you have like all your 1-drops on the right now. There's like you have to wait forever to even get that out of your hand, and you're probably not gonna like get a good amount of value out of it unless you just coincidentally top deck a Twin Slice on turn 4. So it'll probably mess up the early aggro curve a lot more at 4, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, when you take a card that costs 3 and take it to 4, the percentage change in how much mana it costs is a lot more significant than when you take a card that costs 6 and you bring it to 7, right? Like the percentage difference in like what you're paying. So like when they nerf an earlier game card by, they turn a 1-drop to a 2-drop, that's a 100% increase. But if they take a 9-drop to a 10-drop, it's not that big of an increase, right? It's almost nothing. So, with this being a 3 mana going to 4, I think it's pretty significant, but a lot of players, like mentioned, they wanted to see this card just not hit face. They don't care about it costing 3 mana, 3/2. They just didn't want it to hit the face, because when you're playing this card, you're developing a board because you're playing minions or playing spells, you're killing your opponent's minions, and you're doing face damage while developing a board and probably drawing cards. I mean, you're just doing so many things at one time, and a lot of decks don't have the capabilities to be able to come back from that sort of tempo swing. So, yeah.
Well, I feel like the people that wanted Altruist to not hit face are generally the people who aren't playing Demon Hunter. I think to a degree.
That is true.
And I also don't think the people that were requesting that change in unfavor of the mana increasing weren't really thinking about the concept of how important manipulating Outcast is for the Demon Hunter the entire game, especially in the early part of the game. So having an extra 4-cost card instead of a 3-cost card has this crazy ripple effect with the Demon Hunter player having to figure out how to manipulate the 4-cost card to not ruin their Outcast. And in this situation, that's going to be very detrimental. To get this card on turn 2 is probably going to mess up like the majority of your early game, or you're going to have to just throw it away just to get it out of your hand to get the full value out of your cards now.
Yeah.
It
Good point.
definitely makes more of a difference than I feel like people are looking at it at the surface level with the Outcast mechanic.
No, yeah, you had a good point with the skull and it costing 1s. Now you can't play it for 0 and then play the 2 other 0s, which will probably be draw cards. Yeah, so,
Yeah, spoken like a true demon hunter.
That's what a demon hunter would say. It's fine.
It's gonna make a difference. It's definitely gonna make more of a difference than people think. That's the only point I wanted to say. Is that it sucks that it hits face still, but might even be better.
No, I agree with you. It could totally make a difference, but I feel like it also could just not make too much of a difference. But it's one of those things, just like Kalthas. Like I think we just have to see how it plays. I'm hoping that they tested it.
Yeah, they always test.
Yeah,
no mistakes.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it in comparison to the other proposed nerf where it doesn't hit face and you leave it at the same mana cost, I'm wondering if that would have actually been more powerful, because keeping it at 3, costing 0, and not hitting face still allows it to like completely wreck through an opponent's board and just be used and manipulated better. So this might be worse for the Demon Hunter, which is good for everyone else. So
I mean, I think that face damage is pretty valuable most of the time. If you're playing like 6 cards or 7 cards to clear their board and you're also dealing that to their face, I feel like that's pretty drastic there. But
yeah, I mean, when people do that, they're doing it with the intention to do that. Like it's like when you don't play your cards like for the 2 turns prior because you're kind of doing the
combo kind of.
Yeah, you change your deck into a combo deck once you realize that's the only way that you're gonna maybe win. But yeah, Battle Fiend.
Right. Yeah. So he's going from a 1 mana 2/2 to a 1 mana 1/2. So he's losing 1 attack in this nerf. This is a change that I said day one absolutely was going to happen. He's not to include. How do you not play that card in your deck? It's a 1 mana 2/2 that just grows. He's infinite. He scales infinitely. So
yeah. Now the question is he still an auto include? And I think since they didn't touch Twin Slice, that he still is. But I've heard some people saying that they aren't really going to play him anymore. So I'd like to hear what Draco has to say on that.
It's dramatically less powerful as a turn 1 play, so that makes such a big deal. I feel like you're gonna have to auto include it, just because there's not any better 1-drops for Demon Hunter to play, and 1-drops are crucial to an aggro deck, right? But I feel like the snowball perspective is still super important, and it's still gonna be one of the strongest cards in the Demon Hunter deck, and this is just gonna make it worse, like a lot worse, but it's still gonna be ran. Because
I think you meant to say fair, not worse. I think
worse. Yeah, fair. Fair, yeah. I mean, fair. It's not fair that it has the Battle Mage body at first. I get that. I completely agree with that. Like, because Blazing Battle Mage is like the premium, like neutral mana card now. And Battle Fiend getting those stats with like an effect kind of like the old Mana Worm, except you can't do more than like. You rarely get to attack more than once in a turn unless you're using Warglaives, which is after 5. So it's not the same as Mana Worm, because you could cast like 5 spells in a turn and have like a huge 1-drop. But it's similar in its snowballing effect, and it's still gonna get used. There's not a better option for it even at 1/2, so it's gonna be annoying. It's just gonna be more fair, and Demon Hunter will be as needed to be a little bit worse. So.
Yeah, I mean, I see some people in chat comparing it to Blazing Battle Mage, which is the 1 mana 2/2, which is interesting because you don't need to get a hero power off to make that into a 2/2. And if you play this on turn 1, if you play the Battle Fiend on turn 1, and you don't have a Twin Slice, then it's worse than a Battle Mage. So it's actually a little interesting if you.
Well, it's got a soft taunt, so like that's what you always have to think about, because if they don't. You can leave a Battle Mage up for the whole game and it's still a 2/2, right? But if you don't get rid of the Battle Fiend, it's probably going to be like a 4/1, a 4/2, and then 5/2 before you even really blink about it. So, yeah. Obviously, like you generally from the turn 1 playing a Battle Mage is going to look better on paper, but in terms of getting your opponent to play cards to react, you're probably still going to want to use the Battle Fiend, because that's going to get more powerful the longer your opponent chooses not to interact with it. So I don't
That's a
know.
good point. Yeah.
I mean, you're
I think
not.
they're very close.
Yeah, I mean, you're also not attacking turn 1. You play the card turn 1. You don't attack till turn 2. Turn 2, you hero power, you attack, and then it does 2. So
I mean, if you have Twin Slice, you can.
Well, that's a bad move now with the way the meta lines up, right? So you don't usually go into your Battle Fiend on turn 1 and then Twin Slice into your opponent's face to get the initial buff. But with this situation and this nerf, it might actually change that into not being a bad play, because then your Battle Fiend would contest your opponent's potential Battle Fiend that they drop. So if you do that now. So maybe that bad play now turns into something that gives you more value out of your cards that you'd actually consider doing, which,
yeah,
if you think about a bad play becoming a good play, it's definitely a noticeable nerf, right? Like because that's not something anyone would consider doing now, because it wastes a Twin Slice just for maybe one more snowball damage. But I think it's a
just
great
something
nerf.
to think about.
Yeah,
With the battle mage and
sure.
everything, it's interesting. Yeah, we got the Glaive-bound Adept up next here. I'm starting to sense a theme here. Seems like -1 on cards or +1 is the. These changes are really not too crazy, but I mean, since there's so many changes to, I mean, mostly Demon Hunter cards, that I think,
Yeah, I mean, that's a
it
lot.
actually will, yeah, it'll impact it more than it looks. But I was still pretty disappointed with this Adept change. I mean, the card is still very strong. It rarely gets to attack anyway. It's kind of like Altruist. Like, the attack doesn't matter too much, but it can. I was hoping it would go to at least 5 attack, but
I think they would just replace it with, if it went to 5 attack, I think the Demon Hunter players would just choose a different 5-drop, or like drift away from playing this. I think in this way it kind of makes it more playable still. I don't
mean-
think it need to be nerfed really. This card doesn't. The only problem is, I guess, like leaving it unanswered, where it gets to smack you in the face for 7. That's brutal, but I guess that's what they're fixing, right? So
It's just a buff, dude. It plays around BGH. It's truly a buff. It's truly the buff.
never thought
Because,
of it like
yeah, I mean, imagine in a world that this could get BGH'd. We can't be having that. So now, with new capabilities, new stat changes, plus and or -1, Blizzard's nerf policy and or buff policy, BGH. I mean, how is Zephyrus gonna? What is Zephyrus gonna do now? You can't do shit. No BGH.
I mean, if you think about it, Altruist going to 4 attack does play around like Shadow Word Pain. It makes it harder for Priest to deal with it. That's pretty interesting too. Yeah.
Yeah.
but it does die to like a penance and every.
Oh, let's not focus
that's
on
not
that. Let's
important.
not. That's not important. The card, it's powerful, and now it's. I think it's still good. Like, but they did touch a lot of the Demon Hunter, like a lot of the cards. So I want Demon Hunter to be a good deck because it's a new class. It deserves to be a good class. There's nothing wrong with something being tier 1, tier 2 deck. I if everything could be tier 1, tier 2, that'd be awesome, right? So I just hope they didn't touch too much, but I don't know. I mean, this seems fair-ish.
Yeah, this is better. It's just so ridiculous that it had 7 attack to begin with. I mean, I'm all about like class cards having like powerful stats and abilities, but that was just so unnecessary. It's a 5-drop, and they gave it 7 health, 7 attack, 7 attack. That's just like, so if you don't kill it, like you're just so punished that it, like, yeah, because the Demon Hunter's chipping you the whole time anyway. So if your Glaive-bound Adept sticks, the game's pretty much over right now. Does it being at 6 change that really? No. Not
it's
entirely.
like imprisoned Ante and having 10 attack or something and being a 5-mana card.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a little more forgiving. Just a little.
Looking at the Adept, I feel like it could apply the policy of the Savannah Highmane effect. The old word on the street was, if Savannah Highmane attacks your opponent in the face 1 time, probability of you winning that game skyrockets. If Grave-bound Adept attacks your opponent in the face 1 time, the probability of you winning that Demon Hunter deck is probably pretty high. So
Yeah, you're right.
All right, what else we got here?
Sack Pack.
This is the third week in a row we've talked about Sack Pack. It's official.
And it won't be the last.
Hell yeah, brother.
Sack Pack finally seeing a change here. You can only destroy a friendly demon. You still get the 5 health, but now that makes a lot of more cards playable / just better overall. I mean, we've been seeing in the aggro, the aggro warrior. They've been playing Imprisoned Vile Fiend, whatever that card is, something like that. The 3 mana or the 2 mana 3/6 Dormant Rush demon. There's just a ton of demons in general with the new expansion, of course. So this is going to make the game a lot more fair. We'll see a lot more cards being played or at least tested out. Jiraxis is something to keep in mind.
I'm playing Jiraxis.
What's that?
Pro Warlock,
legendary?
baby.
The whole Reddit post talks about the new legendary.
The 12/12. So you're talking about?
Megatherodon or something like.
Magtherodon.
Yeah. I don't know if it's gonna work, but like, Sack Pack's not attacking your opponent's minions makes it a 12/12 that doesn't have a 0 mana removal.
This is honestly a big game changer for all of Hearthstone. We're gonna see a lot of new things being tested, a lot of new cards being able to be tried out overall. I mean, I still don't think Jiraxis is going to make the
tier
cut,
1,
but you never know.
D-Money, tier 1 D-Money. You just don't even know it. 80%, 82% win rate, D-Money. Jiraxis is coming back. I'll climb from my 15k legend to at least 14k legend, and it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be big.
I mean, it's kind of like
Bold statement, man.
Alex Straza, because Alex Straza sets you to 15 health, and it's 9 mana, and this sets you to 15 health, and then you have an upside, you have a weapon, so you actually get to do something that turn, and then you have better hero power, technically. And you could taunt it up with like Sun Fury Protectors or something, you know? I could see it. I don't know. I'm all for it. I mean, maybe you can actually play that new Dark Portal card that Warlock has and get Jiraxis to your hand, and he costs like 4 mana, right? Something like that.
You're spitting good language right now.
Yeah, I don't know. There's someone in chat just said something about Dark Portal too. Look at that. Yeah. A lot of new things to be played around with. I'm loving the fact that they finally did something about this card. I think it's still going to be played in Gala Warlock because 5 health is a lot, especially with like the tempo aggro Demon Hunter and everything. But I think we got a new game on our hands.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I just talked a lot there. I'm sorry, but
no, you're good.
No, it's okay.
I felt your enthusiasm. You were dreaming, you were believing, and I felt that you are truly going to exercise your Jiraxis rights when Sack Pack gets nerfed, and I'm behind you 100%. Once or twice. I need to see a full day. Blood Blue.
We need to like have an official Jiraxis day. When
all 3 of us play Jiraxis all day and lose. See you in bottom of legend, boys.
There's gonna be so many content creators releasing videos of getting a Jiraxis this week, just so everyone in chat is ready. That's what you're gonna see a lot of videos of on YouTube.
That's me.
That's Rob. It's our boy.
That's me. I'm already ready for it. Making the thumbnail today.
You've already had that thumbnail planned for a couple.
Hey,
now. Don't lie to us.
You're right. Oh shit! All right, Blood Bloom. We
Jiraxis' head or something. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm sorry.
Blood Bloom. We don't really play wild, but we can briefly cover it. You know, like no more combo deck, basically, right? That's what this means.
Yeah, I've been seeing. I mean, you see it in like Trollden videos or like the Hearthstone Daily Moments thing, where on like turn 2 they get off Blood Bloom into the Sacrificial Pact or something. No, not Sacrificial Pact. Whatever it is. I don't know the. But
yeah, Blood Bloom into a 0 mana spell. You're on it.
Darkest Hour. That's what it is. Yeah. And then they just summon like 6 things from their deck. It seems like a lot of fun. I'm glad I don't play wild. But yeah, it's nice to see that they're doing something about it. I'm assuming that actually would probably fix that quite a bit. I'm sure they'll probably still run it. I also don't know the wild meta at all, but
Rob plays wild. Is this a big deal?
My week and a half in wild, and then
It's more than
me
us.
going crazy.
You're
Yeah,
the person with credit on this now. So
All right, as an experienced wild analyst, I, week and a half in, played a lot of combo. What do you call it? Blood Blue Mecha Thune Warlock, and it was really unfun. So I stopped playing wild. There's also a lot of the Waygate Mage, which we'll cover later. But yeah, so anything that like makes it slightly more fun is good. So Blood Bloom, not. I mean, you're playing a single player game at that point. Like you literally, the Warlock just keeps clearing your board, and then eventually you just lose. Doesn't matter the HP. Doesn't matter how much armor you have. Doesn't matter the minions that you played. Didn't even matter what you did the whole game. You're just gonna die eventually. So, yeah, good nerf.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Open the Waygate.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just building up. You can get off the quest pretty easily, and now they changed it from 6 to 8, I believe, spells that you have to cast. And people are
Yeah.
saying that that's not really going to change anything. That might just delay it one turn, which
Does
I can
nothing.
totally see that being a thing. So yeah, I don't think that fixed the issue that they had. I know in my stream I was talking about maybe like they should not Hall of Fame, but just actually straight out ban cards from being played. If you're not gonna change the problem, then just get rid of the problem. Just don't allow people to play with like Vargoth or whatever the issue is. Like I think the combo, whatever the combo is with Vargoth and the Time Warp, I think it's still there and it's still gonna be pretty unfun and uninteractive. So I
10 win condition mage still has 10 win conditions, even if
Yeah.
one of them is slightly more.
Are you trying to take away my cards, D-Money? You're telling me you're gonna ban my cards I paid good money for?
I mean, you might be able to use them in the upcoming.
You can't ban my cards, sonny boy. I paid for these.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I don't know. I think it's still one of those moments where I'm just glad to not be a wild player. I feel bad for you guys, I really do. I hope that it changes something for you because it really doesn't look fun, and I see everybody complaining about Open the Waygate literally every single day, probably 5 times a day. So, yeah.
No, it 100% would be cool if they made Wild a competitive format. They put some restrictions, modifications, just something, right? Because like right now, you play Wild because you truly enjoy it, right? You play your broken decks, but there's no reason. You know, Blizzard doesn't care about it. You know what I mean? Like it's blatantly obvious. So it'd be cool if they, gave it a little like, I don't know, chicken nugget every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like I know I keep saying like we'll see what happens or whatever, but it's the same thing with like Kel'Thas or Altruist. Never really know until you play with the. Maybe it did fix whatever problems they had. We can't really be too sure until we actually get our hands on it as well, because sometimes Blizzard actually does know something that we don't know. So I don't know.
Rarely.
Yeah. Plus one attack to charge minions. They know best. Plus one attack to charge minions, baby. That's right. Hallelujah. Libram of Justice. The only buff we see here, as we know, Libram is at 6 mana, and now it's going to 5 mana. As an expert Libram Paladin player, D-Money. What do you think?
Did you play Libram Paladin? Is this like
I tried to make it work the first day, and then I gave up on it after like a couple hours. But it's I was really enjoying it. I think the deck is not too bad. I just don't think that this will do enough for it. Just 1 mana change. I mean, I felt like the card did need to just be better overall, whether it was changing the effect a little bit or something, but I don't think this is going to do anything for it. It's good for the deck overall, but I still don't know if it'll move out of like tier 4.
So now we can
Tier
compare
4.
with equality even more, right? Because now it's a 1 mana, one-sided equality that gives you a weapon, right? Like, is it better? Is it that much better to play? Like, I don't know.
I think it's pretty good.
It's good. It's, it's just like the thing is, so you play it and you change it, so it has a similar effect to Varanus, right? So it changes all their health to 1, which is good, yes, but you have to have a board for it before you're playing it, which is very difficult to do.
With Paladin.
Yeah,
Well, it
like
gives
to
you a
have
little weapon.
multiple minions.
It's the book hammer, right?
It
Is
gives
this
you the
one that gives
weapon.
Yeah, it gets you a
Yes.
little noodle.
I
Gives you a
love the
weapon,
book
but
hammer.
then so you're reducing their health to 1, and then you have to smack them, and you're taking 7 damage on a hit. So it's like
Yeah, no problem.
Doesn't feel too good.
Well, that's where the Libram of Hope comes in, because then you hope you don't die.
Yeah, pretty much. See, this card would be really good if we had still like Dragon Maw Scorcher, which would deal 1 to every minion. But Paladin doesn't really have anything besides Consecration to deal 1 to everything. I mean, they have Avenging Wrath, but that's about it. So that's the only problem with the card. Like you have, it's very strong overall, but you don't have anything to really combo with it, or too many options to combo with it consistently. So I don't know if it's gonna really help it enough, but I'm happy that they helped out Paladin a little bit, because the class does suck, as we saw on the meta snapshot there for like the past 2 weeks in a row.
I bet Libram Paladin's gonna get support in like the second and third expansion of 2020, in which I can definitely see this being a very big deal in the upcoming months when there are even more cards in standard.
Yeah, like Paladin's one of those classes that, like, with this recent expansion, they have so many different things that they're trying to do. Like they have dragons, they have like some dragons, they have some Murlocs, and then they have some of these Librams now. So it's like you can't really go all in on one deck. I mean, maybe if you make like a Highlander or something, I don't know.
You don't want to do Highlander with Librams though, right? Because the payoff for the Libram deck is you get the Librams for super cheap. So then if you went Highlander, you'd be getting half.
But I mean,
less.
maybe you don't need it as
tried
much
it.
because it reduced by 1 mana.
I tried it. I lost 4,000 legend points. So
Okay.
yeah, not good. Highlander Paladin, not a good route to take. Lots of bad things happen there.
Highlander Libram Paladin is not good.
Well, there's a lot of different renditions that were tried, and all of them were like, it's trying to throw a football with no hands, man. Like it was pretty difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Funky Monkey actually trying to make like a Murloc Highlander Paladin thing kind of work. And it seemed okay, but yeah, it's just not at the power level of all these other classes, I feel.
Definitely not. But I do have hope for Libram Paladin and the longevity of the Year of the Phoenix. That's a fact. I think at one point this year there's going to be some kind of control-based Paladin deck that's super horrible to play against, because it just heals itself a whole bunch and has a ton of remove thing like a normal powerful control deck would be, and I can see it eventually making sense.
With Lady Leandrin, I mean, it's infinite value. It's just slow, but it's infinite value. You after you've played a bunch of wisdoms, you Lady Leandrin, and you literally have as many as your hand can hold of wisdoms. And because the hero power lets you summon a minion, so you don't even need to like technically have one, you just keep wisdoming a minion. You could be like, well, then it just gets silenced. Okay, so just spread the wisdoms out. Don't all just stack them on a single minion. Use like 4 or use 3. Your opponent's still gonna have to clear a 4/4 every turn. Versus it's 2 mana 4/4 because it costs 0 and your hero power costs 2. So eventually you'll die to that. It's just infinite value. So, yeah, hopefully it kind of stays in check there, because playing against infinite value decks are not fun.
Yeah.
Like we don't want it to be good, but we don't want it to be bad.
Hey, it can be good. It just can't be oppressively good.
I can see a future where Paladin lives a long time, and then they play Lady Leandrin, Libram cards back, and then they play that pure Paladin card that gives them more Paladin cards, and they get another Lady Leandrin, and then they
that's the dream right now. It's just you can't get it off.
Now it's too slow.
Demon Hunter nerfs, now it might be possible.
Yeah.
Or next expansion, it might be possible when they come out with Libram of Flanking Strike, when it's like do 3 mana to your opponent's minion, summon a 2/2 with Divine Shield, right? That'd probably be it. It's like a 4 mana card that develops a minion and hurts your opponent's board, and that would just basically fill in all the spots and make it work. I think that's what it needs, right? Like it needs something to actually do damage to remove your opponent's minions early on, right? That's
Well,
the
I
problem.
think it's a control deck, so it's just survivability. You win through buffs, you win through wisdoms. That's how you win. You just outvalue. It's a control deck at heart, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's just surviving. The key is surviving. That's all you got to do. If you live, you win. You don't live, well, you lose stars.
It also doesn't have card draw. That's the other issue with Paladin, right? Yeah.
Very that's where the generate 5 cards comes from. Like all the draw in the deck comes from just generation effects. That's where the draw comes from. Which if you get bad generations, you lose. So our next segment though was Draxus, but we kind of covered him, right?
Yeah, we went over Draxus, but so I guess we could talk about
what do we think is going to be good? That's what we wanted to talk about right here. Right? Like what decks do we think are going to be the new ones that are special after the nerfs?
Okay.
I know Dan has an idea because he mentioned this segment specifically. What do you got, D-Money? What do you think is going to be the secret sleeper deck that comes out this week, or what's makes sense to you?
Well, I mean, I've been playing a lot of Highlander Galakron Shaman. So I think it's going to be in a much better spot right now. Just overall. And the lurker below is becoming a beast, so if that helps in any sense, I don't think it will, but you never know.
He's actually like his tag is a beast, or like he is a beast.
No, he is a beast, but he is also going to become a beast, like his tag, yeah.
Okay, so he's a beast. Gotcha.
I think Rogue is going to be very, very good. I mean, it's already moving up as we saw before. I want to say that I'm going to try to make Libram, I don't know how to say it, Paladin work. I don't know. I think there's a lot of things to try out. So I don't think it's too easy to see what's going to be on top. But yeah, I'm very excited about Shaman.
I think it's going to be Rogue World.
Rogue is going to be strong.
Priest World.
Priest is going to be very strong too.
I think Priest it's going to be a world of Priest. It's going to be a bunch of taunts, bunch of resin going on, bunch of quests.
The value that Priest has now is really insane because everyone was talking about how weak their invoke was last expansion, but now with the new cards that they introduced to like their classic and basic set, and the new cards just from this new set, Priest invoke is actually very strong. The quality of minions that you get from it is actually very powerful, and I feel like a lot of the bad minions that you could have gotten have rotated out. So
yep.
I hope you guys are wrong. I totally hope
I'm wrong too.
Priest meta. That just sounds so awful.
Well, the thing is with Priest. Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was gonna say the second I've been watching the Grandmasters with my weekend, and the second we see that there's like a Priest player playing, like my fiance that's getting into watching esport Hearthstone, like rolls her eyes because she's like, oh god, this is the worst. We're gonna have to watch him heal his face for 25 minutes now. Like, yeah, I don't want that meta, but you're probably right, guys.
Yeah, I mean, Priest is only really prevalent when there's no like good aggro deck that can just swarm it down. Like that's how you beat Priest. You just kill them before they can do their plagues and their taunts and their reses. You just kill them before they can do anything, right? With Holy Nova going to 4, that's a pretty big deal. Shadow Madness going to 3 has been insane, like literally insane for me. It's a 2-for-1 every time. Plus, if they have a Death Rattle card, like you just get the effect too. I mean, it's just you need the aggro decks to keep those hefty control decks in check. As much as a control player as like I am, you still need a healthy ecosystem of decks. And Demon Hunter getting hit, that's one of the aggro decks that keeps the Priest in check. You need a healthy aggro deck, and Demon Hunter was beating down them Priest. It beat them down. And now, beating less.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have played. You guys probably haven't been in this experience a lot because you don't play a lot of Demon Hunter. But one of the things that Priest is doing against Demon Hunter now is discovering all the Demon Hunter cards and using them against you. And I hate it so much. And
Are you saying
they run Thoughtsteal now, and then they start
Of
using
course.
Skull of Guldans against you and Priests of Fury and stuff, and it's just ridiculous. I lost the game against a priest who kept rezzing my Priests of Fury against me and then giving it lifesteal the other day. That was the worst scenario of my life.
You realize you're making me want to play right now.
I'm making
telling
you
you.
want to do it? Go ahead. Yeah.
that
Play
priest deck,
Thoughtsteal Priest.
D-Money, that priest deck, I told you before the podcast, the WTF or random priest or however you want to call it, I was playing this, it's so much fun. Like, it's psycho pumping a Priestess of Fury. Oh, baby, for lethal. That was a nice one.
On
Not yet. The contents, we have a large quantity in the pipe flow.
All right,
But
well, I'll be looking
I can
forward
send
to
you the
that.
list.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
realize it
It's-
just probably inspired a whole chat to play the deck that has been making me very upset for the last. It probably sounds really juicy to use like a skull and priest and stuff.
It does
but-
actually.
Nah, it was
Oh,
insane.
man.
Those priest games yesterday.
Yeah. So I mean, do you have any decks that you think are going to arise, Draco? Any meta breaking decks?
I think Galakron Rogue is going to just feast on all the stragglers of everyone trying to figure out what's priest on top, what's the demon hunter build. I think that deck is just going to be like, oh, I've been refined for the last like year, and I am just going because that deck beats priest. It can beat demon hunter. It can beat anything if it plays out correctly. And I think the new stealth package is honestly enough to push it to be like, I think it's going to be rogue tier 1 meta again. That's my opinion because I think it's flexible and that's scary, right?
Yeah, it's a little scary. It's just more boring than scary, I'd say. It's just the same old. I mean,
Yeah.
Rob, did you have any crazy things that you think are gonna happen? Any decks that you think are gonna arise?
I mean, normally when meta shifts, the safest, best decks are the decks that already been proven to be good. That's always the case. When a new expansion comes out, people are trying new shit. If you play the same old decks, like with almost no new cards, you're gonna do better than almost anybody playing with any of the new cards. So whenever this nerf hits, going back to Galakron Rogue that didn't get hit, Res Priest didn't get hit, all of these safe decks that we know they're good and didn't get hit, you play them and you're gonna do better than anybody trying to play any new stuff. That's just how it normally works. So that's my normal take on any sort of update.
Unfortunately, you're correct.
all right, yeah.
No.
I mean, it's just gonna be one of those. We'll see what happens. A lot of new things to try. Very exciting, just overall. I mean, besides the whole rogue thing, but very exciting overall. And these changes, there's no specific date. They only said the beginning of this week.
I'm thinking Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, a lot of people are speculating Tuesday because that's their normal patch day of the week. It seems pretty likely. I mean, everyone's hoping for Monday, but I doubt it. So, yeah.
History leans towards the Tuesday. So
Yeah.
most likely. Hopefully it's like tomorrow morning, but whatever.
Never
That'd be
know.
great, you know?
Yeah.
Monday.
But I think we can go on to our next segment of the new game mode that they talked about during the AMA on Reddit.
Yeah. This is speculation, guys. We don't know anything. They just mentioned new game mode, but we're gonna speculate what that means.
We were talking about it before we kicked off the podcast, and then we were having a good conversation with it, and we figured we would bring it on to the live podcast because it first started out we were like, what kind of game mode could they make? And we were like, oh, they're going to implement wild cards into like the standard format and do kind of like an arena rotation for like a standard competitive format. And then DMoney stated that that's not a new game mode, that's a new format. And then we kind of argued that arena is kind of similar as like it's still standard Hearthstone, even though it's a different format. But and then there was this weird idea that came out of nowhere. DMoney brought it up where it was like the dungeon run competitive concept. Like how did you say that would work?
Yes, I mean it's essentially or Rumble Run or Dungeon Run. It's where it would be kind of like arena mode, but it would be basically where you choose from 3 heroes. So they have all the different heroes in the dungeon runs. that have their unique abilities or hero powers, and then you get to choose like a starting deck for your class per se, and then after you get a win, you get to choose a treasure or however it works during the rumble runs. But it would be kind of that similar concept that you're playing against other people online with the same amount of wins, because then it would be unfair if somebody got to choose a treasure before you. Um, and then you keep upgrading your deck as you go along, and then you get rewards based on whatever. I think that's like a general. I don't think that's gonna be what the new mode is,
It
but
would be so great.
I've always thought that would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
See who can make the most broken deck to compete against the other people that are just trying to adapt and make their deck the most degenerate thing possible with completely unbalanced treasures and stuff. It would be so hard to balance that mode if you think about it from.
It would be, yeah.
But it would be
That's
fun.
also why it's probably not that. But yeah, so they did leak. I don't know if you have the wording for it about the new mode, because they did leak it a little bit, just saying that there's, a new mode that's going to be using. Because I think one of the questions was, should I be saving my wild cards for something? I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, you might. We're going to be coming out with a new game mode soon that will incorporate these old wild cards. So quite unfortunate for people like me that already disenchanted all of our wild cards, but I'm assuming that the new game mode is not going to be too competitive. That's just my thing.
You hope.
I hope. One speculation I had was maybe it'll be like Tavern Brawl, where it switches every week, and you use your wild cards to maybe it's something maybe like Brawliseum / Tavern Brawl, where you pay to enter it, and then you create a deck. Maybe you create it with no legendaries or something, some new format every week, and then based on how many wins you get a reward, something like that.
I just like how the chat right now is just shaming you for disenchanting wild card.
I regret nothing.
It's so great.
The new mode would have to be insanely fun for me to have regrets here.
D-Money's biggest nightmare or worst case scenario here is that the new game mode becomes the more competitive variant of Hearthstone, in which having wild cards and standard cards becomes the game mode that people actually care about.
That would never happen. Stop it.
Time to reinvest, buddy boy. Crack open that wallet.
I'll have to throw another $200 or something if that happens. But
hopefully, I hope for you that it's not that situation. You know,
I want it to be competitive. I want Hearthstone to have multiple competitive modes. I want Wild to be competitive. I want Standard to be competitive. I want new modes to be competitive. I want Battlegrounds to be competitive. The better Hearthstone is, the more people are watching it, which means we get more views and more content and better company. Because as a small indie company, we know Blizzard, they need more, so we got to give it to them, or they got to give it to us, and we give it to them. But
well said.
But for the new mode, I've been saying it for a long time. I would love to see it rotate every month. You can call it rotating meta. I don't give a shit what you call it. Have it 3 expansions, and every month the 3 expansions rotates to a different 3 expansions, and that's the meta for that month. You have those 3 expansions to pick out cards with, and you have a rank just like any other. You have a legend rank just like any other, and every month it's going to change between 3 or 4 expansions. I hate basic cards. Basic cards make it so you auto-include shit. Take the basic cards out, in my opinion. They'll probably keep them because of, that's what they'll do. But take out the basic cards. Take out the standard cards. 3, just blocks of sets. Call it a day. It's going to be great. R4.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, so I mean, this is where I was kind of disagreeing with that pre-podcast, because I was saying that would be cool and everything, but that just sounds like a new format to me. That doesn't really sound like a new game mode per se.
Yeah.
Like a new game mode is like Battlegrounds to me. Like that's a completely new game mode.
But it depends the definition of game mode. Yeah. Then we went into that. The definition of what a game mode is.
Hearthstone has been pretty loose about what they determine as a game mode in the past, right? So it could just be what Warshack is saying. I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, "Oh, new game mode. You got Kobold and Catacombs cards in Standard now. Sick."
Okay, I think they said that Battlegrounds was their first official new game mode, but I'm not sure.
I hope so. But
So
I mean,
I'm thinking it's going to be something along the lines of that in differentiality to like
I was
the
right about the
normal.
albatross. I could be right
Yeah.
about this.
we're just gonna
You were
swap
right
the
about
attack and
Albatross.
health of every minion and make it standard again. It's just gonna be like one of those special formats of like the dungeon runs. It's gonna be like every minion's attack is their health. Their health is their attack. And that's the new game mode, man.
So you're going into what I was saying before, the Tavern Brawl-esque kind of idea.
I was
That's
just
what
trying
it
to
sounds
find
like.
what would be the most disappointing to me, and that's where I landed.
Oh my god.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's very exciting that that a new game mode is coming. It sucks. It's gonna suck. It really is if I have to make some wild cards, but I'll do it if as long as I don't have to make too many. I'll definitely try it out, of course. But yeah, I think it's just Rob brought up something before the podcast. Like I love how they brought it up now. Like they didn't bring this up sooner. And that's all part of the ploy to make more money. They want you to disenchant your cards, and now they're
Now
like,
you
oh
sound
yeah,
like
I
me.
guess. Yeah, I mean, I'm quoting you kind of, but I'm agreeing with you in the sense that like now they're like, yeah, everyone's disenchanted their cards already. I think it's now a good time to leak that maybe we might that we're gonna be using the wild cards now. So get your wallets ready. Go take your mom's credit card. It's gonna be a good one. Strap in.
It'd be plundering time.
Strap in, guys.
Oh shit.
But I mean, anything new is exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, new. All right. So, is it safe for me to rotate into my question I had
Yes.
prior to the? All right. So, I have this little segment. It's mine. It's not even a segment. It's just I would like information on this because I just don't know. And the question is, now that we've seen all the primes, we've got to play with it. What have been the best primes we've seen? If we could like maybe rate them or like the most dominant. Because I feel like all of them are really good in the right situation. Like all of them can fit into any class and are good. But are there any ones that have really stuck out to us? Like, wow, those are definitely primes we want to craft. Like, you know what I mean? Like for those budget players, for the casual players who obviously can't afford all the primes, including Optimus. You know, they've got to, you know, kind of balance their wallets here. And like, if you had to pick out one or two of them, maybe three, what would you go for? So,
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, I agree. All the primes are good. I think there's definitely some that are better than others. I think overall. So do you want like the top picks? You want like the
just ones that stand out to you. The ones that are like, yeah, that's definitely one I would probably craft first. It doesn't have to be like, you know, absolute, but you know, just what are you seeing on ladder? What's winning? What's losing? What have you played with? What feels good? Just give me some. Give us that juicy info.
I think the Mage Prime. I mean, I do play a lot of Mage, but that's not impacting it at all. I think the Mage Prime is just the most powerful, or one of the most powerful in the whole entire out of all these primes, because it can totally just swing the game in your favor. It could help you come back, or it could not. I mean, I think it does more good than it does more bad. I think most of the time you get a positive outcome. Sometimes it could cast Box, which changes the whole entire game. And like it's a good desperation play. I think it's better when your opponent has a board, but I don't think it's really ever bad to play in general. Like I feel like there's like maybe a 20% or a 15% chance that it doesn't really do too much for you, but you're still usually getting value off of it in some way. I think it's the strongest prime out of all of them, and I think probably the next strongest prime would be would honestly be the Warrior Prime, which we probably don't see as much just
The
because
card is
Warriors.
so cool.
Yeah, the card's
So
really good.
cool.
I mean, the animation's really cool as well. All these cards have really cool animations, but I think the Warrior Prime's really really good. I mean, 8 mana 10/10 is just good on its own with Rush, and the fact that you get 10 armor, it makes Control Warrior actually pretty damn viable and pretty scary. Especially if you could put like multiple copies in there with something. I played against a warrior the other day who was able to get another copy. I don't remember how, but it was actually insane. There was nothing I could do about it.
Dimensional Ripper was my big warrior, and pulling out 2 primes with Dimensional Ripper was pretty nice.
That sounds pretty nice.
That's gonna be really cool.
I also think that another underrated prime that's really really strong is Mishafin. I've only been able to play it a couple times just because not a lot of Druid lists run it. I think I didn't even play it while I was playing Druid. I think I was playing Shaman when I played it. Got it off Bandersmash, and uh, I still lost because Altruist was able to clear both 9/9 taunts and push 20 damage to my face. But the card's really strong. Being able to put out 18/18 stats for 10 mana and decide how you want to divvy it up with like taunt and rush is really, really strong. I think if Quest Druid does make a comeback, I've actually seen a couple Quest Druids that do run this card. I think the card's very strong. One of the stronger primes.
I'm surprised we don't see Mishifin that much on ladder because it's just so generically good, you know,
Yeah.
but it doesn't fit into the spell druid list, which is why we don't see it.
Or the ramp either because of
Yeah.
the side
Yeah.
quest.
That's why I think only like Quest Druid would run it, but
Yeah,
Quest Druid's
only
kind of in
Quest
an
Druid.
iffy spot right now. But now that Demon Hunter's getting, it might actually allow it to see play as well. Something to keep in mind.
I think it's funny the prime we see the most is Zixor because of exotic mount seller
Yep.
and druid summoning it as because it's 3 mana beast. Because that's the one I see in ladder the most is Zixor, just because.
Mhm.
And I do love that prime. I think it's very cool how it works in Hunter, and they gave it a death rattle, sort of synergy with all those other cards. I have had some pretty crazy situations where I used Baron Gorfiend and a Zixor, and then I ended up having a bunch of Zixors in my deck, and I had the
Holy
prime
shit.
buffed for multiple terms in a row, just because I had multiple primes in my deck, and I eventually drew them, and it's pretty cool when it works. But I don't know. I guess I wish it was easier. I wish there was a way to tutor the prime. If they had a tutor for the prime, it would be so like a neutral tutor for them. It would be amazing.
They do.
Okay.
The Griffin for Hunter. If you
yeah.
just run the prime
saying
in the Hunter
neutral.
deck.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
for
I'm
like
sorry,
every
I'm sorry.
prime. Like so
Oh,
you
my
could
bad.
get your
So basically like a Kronks for
prime.
Galakrond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you have a prime in your deck, draw it. That would be cool.
Well, if you're just
And
a
then
good
if you
player,
are-
you'll draw it.
Or your deck
Yeah.
goes a long time.
Yeah, I think these primes are very strong, but it is hard to draw them like consistently, of course, which does make them a lot weaker, which does balance it out, which is nice.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, I think overall, I really think that the power level of these primes are so big. I think if I had to choose like the lowest, the worst primes here, I would choose the priest and shaman and maybe warlock.
Thank you.
I think they're all still good, but I think they're the most lackluster primes out of all of them. I think all the other primes are just top tier. I mean, Akama Prime is a little iffy sometimes. I think it's very strong, but most of the time you can deal with it. By the time it actually gets out, your opponent has a chance to deal with it. But I still think like the 3/4 stealth body is just good overall. So I would say that the priest, shaman, and warlock. I mean, warlock is they're still very good cards. I think they're all very good, but those are the weakest ones for me. The other ones seem like they're pretty similar on power level, with the mage, warrior, and druid being the top, in my opinion.
And just to respond to chat talking about the rogue prime, Akama prime isn't bad, right? It's the nuts if you draw it off Galakrond, because the Galakrond rogue deck has so much draw in it, so you get to it, which is nice. But if it's not answered and you get it off of Galakrond for free, a lot of times it steals the win for you, and that's kind of cool. I like that Akama card. It's pretty neat. But the top tier in my idea of animations is the Relinquary of Souls. The priest one
Animations, yes.
looks insane. That card
We've
looks
moved from-
crazy.
We've moved from power level to animations.
Did you see the animation though?
Oh,
Like,
I've been playing a lot of Priest. I've seen it. I've seen it.
It's so cool. I love it, man. That's where the budget for the whole expansion went, man. It went to the Relinquary of Souls animation for the Prime.
It was worth
It's
it.
like they're like, go all out with this one, man.
Yeah, but Draco, what do you think as far as power levels? What do you think?
I think you're right with Solarian being it with the pool of the mage spells. Like the only way that backfires is if it conjure calls your opponents, and the only way that really backfires is if you didn't already flame strike 3 times. So, yeah, I like the Astromancer Solarian one the most, but I think Lady Vosh is kind of a sleeper. I bet if the meta works a little bit more for Shaman, that you can kind of tutor your win condition with the Shaman Prime. It's kind of cool. I don't know. You play a lot of that.
I've gotten to play the Vosh Prime quite a bit, and it's very strong. It's just I don't think it impacts the game as much as the other primes. I think it's good though.
It's a value prime. It's not a tempo prime. And normally with tempo primes, you see the result of what it's doing immediately, whether it's summoning minions, killing something. But with value primes, you see that benefit over the course of the next 3 turns, and because it's spaced out, it doesn't seem as significant, I think is what happens.
I mean, sometimes it can get you, like, if you can narrow it down typically. By the time you actually get to play that prime, the spells in your deck are narrowed like maybe anyway, so you kind of know what you're gonna get. And I mean, if you get like a Serpentine Portal and a Hex, you could usually cast those 2 on the turn that you actually just get them. So it is impactful, and it can actually bring you back. It could give you what you need to stay alive. But yeah, compared to these other primes. Anything else, Draco? You have a third pick. You have the 2 right there, but
My third pick is probably Twitch Prime. Just kidding.
Hell yeah. Twitch Prime, baby, the best prime available on the internet.
Nice.
If you guys linked your Amazon account.
Go ahead and drop one of them free subs. Love to see it.
Yeah. I haven't really gotten to play it with too many of them in a way that made about them, but I love the concept of the designs. I hope that the meta does get to showcase them more. What about you, Rob? What's your favorite?
Honestly, I really like the Warlock one because I played a Demon Handlock, and that guy just wins games. You play that guy and you resurrect the new 8 mana 5/7 guy.
Yeah,
with taunt.
Really good.
And yeah, that's good. And then I was of course playing Quest, so of course I ran oh shit, I should probably turned off alerts. Yeah, thank you for that Twitch Prime though. Glad that worked.
Speaking of which,
I'm glad that worked. So if y'all want to follow up on what Ben's doing, it's pretty good.
glad I brought that up.
Best prime.
What is? Yeah, Fell Lord Beltrug, so she can bring him back, and then you have the tap, so that's cool. So he's been one of my favorites. Zixor Prime has actually been really, like, normally when I played that card, I won the game like 90% of the time. So at first I looked at him, I was like 4/4, I'm like, 4/4, But then I kept playing him, and I kept winning. And then I realized it's 4 4/4s, which is like a 16/16, which is like more than half my opponent's health. And I'm playing a hunter. And they're almost half the time almost dead by turn 8. And it felt good, real good. So, yeah, Zixor Prime, surprisingly powerful. The Rogue one, the Akuma is the better part of this. Like the 3 mana, 3/4 stealth. The fact that he gets to live guaranteed is what makes him good. But its actual like Mega Prime or whatever his final isn't as good. But his first form is a lot better than some of the other first forms. But yeah, besides that, I'm of course the mage and priest ones are good, but notably the warlock and hunter ones were better than expected, and then the warrior one is obviously good, but warrior sucks. So
Zixor looks like that Pokemon Garchomp, the one from Garchomp. Yeah, it looks just like Garchomp to me. And every time I see Zixor, I think of like the dragon ground Pokemon.
Yeah, I can see it.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Rob? Are you looking it up right now? Okay, yeah. It's Zixor. It looks so similar, okay?
It does, actually.
Yes. It's funny. Like the combination of the prime and the normal one. So, yeah.
Yeah, if he had like shark attributes and wings and
yeah,
and his Pokemon and stood on 2 legs instead of 4 and had torpedoes and a star nose. Yeah. I mean, they're practically brothers at that point. Hell yeah.
Yeah, they're the same.
All right. Well, that was good. That was my prime question. That was the big secret.
Dark
I really haven't been. I only played with the priest prime a little bit, but every time I played it, it felt so bad. I don't know if you've experienced anything like the prime, like actually drawing the prime itself. I don't know. It hasn't seemed to do anything for me, but Maybe I just didn't play it enough. You said you really like it.
Yeah, I really like it a lot. It it's a great 1-mana card. First of all, it scares the shit out of your opponent, and yeah, the final rendition of it, like, how do you get past it? Like, you're almost guaranteed the heal, and then you're guaranteed a heal, and you're guaranteed your opponent losing at least 1 to 2 cards, guaranteed. So, and they play normally inefficiently too around it. Like, they don't know the best way to clear it, so sometimes they'll like, oh, I'll let it live, and it's like, okay, well, shit, you shouldn't have done that. And then sometimes they try to kill it, but they kill it super inefficiently because it's just hard to deal with.
Answer it though, like,
no, like
honestly.
the 4-mana kill all minions with 5 or more attack.
Yeah,
so basically another priest.
You have, like, Plague of Flames too.
Yeah. So it's very niche cards that normally you try to bait out before you drop your big boy laser beam head shooting
Those are all
eyeball
AoE
guy.
too, though. So, like, is there like single target for the Prime? I mean, other
Well,
than
you
like,
can't target it, so
You can't
that's why
BGH it.
it's like, yeah.
yeah, because it's got 6, not
Yeah,
7.
it's just
So,
really
I mean,
hard to deal with.
You can
Super
play
awkward.
like the rogue
Deadly shot.
mana
Yeah.
guy that saps it back to their hand.
Oh, Black
Kinda.
Jacker.
Yeah, Blackjack Stunner.
Hacker.
That's dream.
Yeah, that guy.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. Like, wow.
I played that card. It sucked for me. I never drew it.
Yeah.
It sucked because I didn't draw it.
I played that deck for like 10 games straight. It was like the bottom. I played 2 of them. It was like bottom 10, all 10 games. Never got to see it. And then after I ran out of secrets, it was a solid 1-mana 1/2. Really didn't do it for me.
I mean, that's still above average. Well, not nowadays.
What's your average, bud? 1-mana 1/2 is what kind of average we talking about?
It's above a randomly generated average.
Oh, it's good shit. Okay.
All right. Do we want to open up to some questions from the audience here?
I think we can. Yeah, Q&A time, boys.
I don't know.
Let's try to make this quick because I know we're going over time like mega. So let's do like maybe like 1-2 questions that are like solid.
I agree.
I have none.
I actually didn't grab any this time.
Shit.
I have none as well.
Solid, boys. Q&A is good.
We're just so focused on all the riveting conversations here.
I like the guy who called me high, and like Draco is high.
That was when you said you liked the animation on it when we were asking you what the best one was.
The power level, you're like, man, that's cool. So, is it OP? Man, does it look nice?
I deserve that.
Well, I don't see anybody asking any questions either right now. So unless we see a nice solid.
Okay, there's some now, right? Like, do you miss OTK decks?
Okay.
D-Money, you first.
Nice one. I mean, OTK decks are still here, so just the one deck, just the OTK Demon Hunter. But I won't miss it if it goes away. No.
Yeah. I like OTK decks when they exist in the meta, but I don't know. They always have some kind of stipulation with them that makes me dislike them. I don't know. I know I just like completely contradicted myself. But I like
I do that all the time. It's okay.
I liked it when there was Cloning Gallery Priest. That was my last favorite like OTK deck. That one back in like the old meta when that worked.
That was a really good deck.
That was so fun when you had like a million different ways you could end the game through re-summoning your previous minions. Felt good.
Malygos, Velen, Holy Smite, Holy Nova, Mind Blast.
Felt good.
Holy crap.
I guess one question we could really answer, I mean, it wasn't directly the question, but like I know it's been talked about a little bit, is Dormant, the mechanic. Do we like it or not in the game? Like being represented more in the game. I know a lot of people have been saying that they don't like it. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
I like Dormant as a mechanic. I think the implementation of it as kind of a widespread seemed kind of like Blizzard was running out of mechanic ideas, considering Dormant was already in the game.
Yeah.
And we'd never really focused on it enough to create it as a keyword. But I guess I like it as a concept. I don't feel like it's being showcased much in the meta nowadays, with Maev not really being an included tech, with none of the dormant minions actually making much of an impact. Really, am
I
I
mean,
mistaken?
I think a reason why the dormant minions haven't been making much of an impact is because they're too slow in comparison to Demon Hunter. And now, like I said before, like with Demon Hunter getting all these nerfs, I think now we'll be seeing a lot more cards, especially dormant cards. I played in a tournament yesterday and I saw a Face Hunter playing the 2-mana dormant, the 5/4 that attacks when it comes out of dormant, which is pretty interesting. It's cool to see a new card there.
Mm-hmm. The Fellhound.
Yeah.
Oh wait, the aggro warriors use that dormant minion. That thing's
Yes, they do.
really good. The 3/5.
Yeah.
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 I think one thing for just dormant in general is that it is pretty uninteractive, and like you can't really interact with the dormant card at all. But I think it's a cool concept that now you have to see how you're going to play around it for the next couple turns, how you want to set up dealing with it. Like if we see Imprisoned Antane come back into the meta, like you have to build a board in the next couple turns, or else it's just going to go face. It's something like that. The guy played the 2-mana 5/4 Hunter card yesterday against me, and I had to drop a Doomsayer to try to soak up that damage or something like that. So I think it's kind of cool that we have a new thing to play around. It is just kind of like a play around mechanic. You have to see how you're gonna deal with it. I don't know. Yeah.
It's neat.
Yeah. I don't like that it disrupts. So when I was playing Warrior, I understand why this happens. So he had 2 minions and a dormant guy in the middle, and I tried to ramming speed, and it does nothing. Like yeah. So you have a dormant guy in the middle, and you have 2 minions on either side of the dormant guy, and if you ramming speed, it does nothing.
It's kind of disappointing.
It was very
That's
disappointing. Yeah,
So
I had
like
no
reach around
idea.
his shoulder and hit the other one.
Yeah, I thought
Is
it
that what
might
you're
do a
hoping?
reach around, some sort of jumping effect, I don't give a fuck what happens, just kill the other guy. Don't not do it. It rammed it into nothing. It was the worst ram I've ever seen.
That's
I'm
weird because
interested in your expected outcome over that. That's what I find is the most interesting part about that story is what you thought would happen.
well, I mean, I played the Lurker below when there was a dormant minion in the middle of.
Did
2
he
other
spray
minions,
everybody?
and it does just jump over to the next one. And the same thing with rolling fireball too. So that's
So your guy's
weird that
super
you
soaking,
mentioned-
and my ram didn't ram?
Yeah, that's
He is
interesting.
super
I'd have to
soaking.
take a look on at the wording on the see if they're
That's
different.
bullshit.
I think they both say neighbor, but
I'll tell you, it's bullshit. I lost that game big time. So yeah, that's my experience with Dormant. Besides that, I like it. You know, I like being able to like, okay, Priest is like you have a turn, your opponent's gonna play AoE, right? You play a Dormant minion. At least you spent mana, you did some shit, you get the benefit of it later, and you played around AoE. I like that a lot. I like against Priest, Spreading Plague's coming up, Plague of Death, or what do you know what I'm talking about? 9 mana, destroy your soul. You play a Dormant minion on that turn, it feels nice, right? Because they don't kill it. So, yeah.
same thing with like Reno. Reno doesn't poof away the dormant minions.
Exactly.
Either.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep.
I like that. All right. Any more questions? You guys have anything else before we're good here?
I think we need to
that's
wrap it
probably
up.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm gonna keep streaming Hearthstone after this. I know D-Money, are you gonna be streaming after this? So chat
Yeah, I'll be
knows.
going
as
right
well.
into a stream right here.
And Draco, what are you doing?
I am probably gonna have some of that cider. So
I'm gonna have 10% and smile the rest of the day.
and maybe watch some Warshack and D-Money streams because that sounds like a great way to enjoy my.
That's a good idea, actually.
All right, solid boys, solid. Well, another great podcast. Thanks for hanging out and having these. It's always a good chat with us. I think we get a lot done. I think we talk about a lot of hot topics, and I think we have a lot of to contribute. Each of us have good things to say.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It was a pleasure being here, hanging out with you guys. We'll be back next Sunday, most likely around. This should be up on YouTube sometime later this week if you guys want to check it out again. Yeah, I had a great time. It was a pleasure hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, thank you for having me as always on the Shack channel here. today is Song Request Sunday on my stream. Just saying, if you want to come by, request some meme songs or request some actual good music, that would be appreciated. But yeah, hope everybody has a good day, and I hope that the nerfs come sooner than later. It'll be awesome.
Oh yeah.
Have a good stream, Rob.
Yeah,
See
you
you,
too,
Rob.
bud. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, man. See ya.
Later, Gators.